Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Progressive Overload podcast. Have you ever thought about strengthening multiple areas of your life at the same time? Then you've come to the right place. Our goal is to help you identify ways that you might need a progressive overload to break through those plateaus and keep you growing.
What's up, Progressive Overload family? We are here at the table one more time. Yay! And our sound effects are homemade.
Homemade manual.
Wow.
We make our own sound effects around this place.
I'm kind of glad the sound effects died.
I know it did.
Yeah.
When Adam left, I couldn't hold it anymore.
I know. He took the studio with him.
We have so many listeners right now that just heard that intro and are in just tears from hearing Adam's angelic voice.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. They're in tears for a lot of reasons, probably. But everything is going well. I'm glad to be back with you guys. It's a special episode today.
So special.
And there's a lot of reasons for that. Joe, why don't you let them know why this is such a special episode?
Yeah, so today is our last podcast as a collective group of OGs in person, I should say.
Yeah.
So today is my moving day. I am moving 4 hours away from you guys, loading up to pick up and getting out of Dodge. And so it is 6:45 in the morning, and it is our last day of work. And I'm saying, guys, let's meet up for one last go round.
Let's do it.
So we literally have, Tyson, you just came in at episode 13 or something like that, and then a couple episodes later, you joined us permanently. Adam, Dustin, you guys have you've been there from the waking moment of the idea in my head for this podcast, and this is just so special to me to have you guys around the table one last time. I'm gonna be a little surprised if I make it through this without crying today, but
I expect tears all day long because I'm spending the entire day with you, so I'm just gonna get ready for
Dustin
it now.
Dustin is the real OG because this guy is following me to my house in Midland, my new house in Midland, Texas, 4 hours away to help me move and unpack, and he's gonna help decorate the house for us. He's gonna cook for us, all this fun stuff.
Mm-hmm. After hitting leg day this morning.
Yeah, and he's going to do a leg day after we record. And
Sweet.
I was like, I purposely am not working out today because I know today's going to suck.
Dustin, I'm glad you're a better friend than me.
Hey,
well, you know,
I'm glad you're a better friend than me.
For any of you guys that ever needs this, Big Red Moving Service, you pack it, we stack it.
Get it going.
I'm just saying, like, you got me.
He didn't talk about payment, though.
He's going to get reimbursed.
Okay.
Thank yous.
Yeah. Pizza.
Little Caesar's Pizza.
Yeah.
A firm handshake.
$5 hot and ready.
There it is.
No, I'm just joking. Well, you came in clutch. You helped me use a dolly.
Yeah.
And so did you, Adam. You helped me use one of your dollies. You let me use it. So, that's just as much as Dustin driving 4 hours to help me load and unload a truck.
I know.
Poor Dustin.
It's okay.
Just as much.
Just as much.
I've been out for a few months and nothing's changed.
No.
Still pick on Dustin.
No, we miss the wisdom at the table because it ain't here.
Oh, okay. I see.
No, I was gonna. It's actually the opposite. When Dustin and Tyson get together, it is just a roast of Joe constantly.
Oh, okay.
It is.
Yeah, you being in the room made it turn for some reason. I don't know what it is.
That's the hidden piece there.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
So have you explained that all to the listeners, kind of what you're doing, where you're going?
In some of the interviews that we released before this episode, I've kind of hinted at it.
I know you're tired of talking about it.
No, not really. I am leaving the full-time fitness industry, and it's no longer going to be my money maker, my bread and butter.
Mm-hmm.
Still pursuing it with my own personal journey, and still offering coaching to all of our listeners and clients in any way, shape, or form. It's still a very large part of me. Just gonna go make some more money somewhere else.
Yeah,
it's easier money and a lot more of it. And
that's good stuff.
Sure.
So I'm excited for that. But
yeah, and I think the key word there, and you said it was you're leaving the full-time industry. Yeah. And we've had this conversation just around the table. Fitness is something that you're never gonna leave.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Like this is a cornerstone, a foundation of your life,
and
especially like everything that we talk about here on the podcast. So nothing's gonna change.
Right.
Just life will look a little different in a way that is just you moving forward.
Yeah, I think so.
Speaking of different, you guys may have noticed I have been absent from podcast episodes starting, I don't know,
I think it was like
5 months ago.
50. I think your last episode was like 58 or 56,
something
somewhere
like
around
that.
there. It was during our 4-part series.
Right.
You just kind of dropped off.
Yeah.
You've been missed.
We did one pillar.
Golly. Yeah, I know.
One pillar. Well,
one pillar.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So here's the deal. I was working at a church here in our town, and I am no longer working at that church. I am still looking for the next place to serve, what God has in store for me and my family. And so we began to discuss some transition, I guess, in the church. We're talking about doing what church nerds would call revitalization. And it basically is what it says it is. It's taking everything and putting it on the table and going, do we need this? Is this working?
Yeah.
Do we need to change this? Give it a funeral or a facelift. Yeah. And kind of those moments. And as we began to discuss that, the leadership of the church decided they were concerned about the direction of the church and asked me to resign.
Yeah.
And instead of digging my heels in and trying to fight that, I thought the best thing for the church and for the kingdom was for me to step away as graciously as I could. There's moments whenever I waffle back and forth on what I should have done, but in that moment I thought it was best. And it's been good for me. Like Joe, you're fixing to go into a new job, and you're basically going to be having someone tell you this is your job, and this is what you're supposed to do. And there's something relaxing about that, and to some degree. Yep. Because as a pastor, like, nobody is sitting there going, this is what you're supposed to do today. This is what this is your one job responsibility for the day. Right. It's one of 20.
You're constantly thinking there's something else I should be doing.
There's something else. And so it's been kind of a really good thing for me physically, mentally, emotionally, just to go to work and go, I've got this task to do today, and once I finish that task, I'm off. I can go off work.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm looking forward to that for you. And
I am excited about that part, dude. Just show up, get my work done. When I'm off, I'm off. I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm not responsible for anything else outside of that, and it's just collect the money and go. And I'm excited about that aspect of it for sure.
Yeah. And
funny enough, I'm interested because I'm for those that don't know, I'm actually taking over for Joe at the Wellness Center as kind of a director position. Yes. So now I'll run 2 gyms.
I know.
As Joe's sitting here, man, it's going to be so much better. And Tyson's like,
I don't know. I love challenges, and that's the whole new thing. But before we get too far off the topic, just to squash anything, because whenever things are left unsaid, sometimes rumors or whatever get started. Not that I've heard anything, but there is no juicy details or anything like that of why Adam left the church.
No, there are. Let me just say this: there was no moral failure, no financial failure, no conduct failure, no preaching, failure. It was all of those things they actually praised in that meeting, and I thought that's strange. And then they asked me to. Now, don't get me wrong. Let me just own the fact that there were some things that could have been worked on.
Sure, right, of course.
We all have disagreements and there's some disunity that comes, I guess, even in the church, certainly in the church, I should say. And there were some things that we could have worked through together, but that's just the thing. I don't think anybody wanted to do that other than me. Just nobody in that room wanted to even offer to go, let's work through this. It was literally, this is what we want you to do, and you need to get your stuff out of the office today.
Yeah.
I remember calling you guys.
I remember that.
We were there.
And y'all were there, and we were packing up the studio because it was in the church. I was like, oh my gosh, okay.
That was a wild day, man.
Had to stop me from destroying the place.
I know. No, I'm kidding. I was about ready to flip some tables with you. Just like Jesus did.
But you think about change, and you think about how all this has happened. If we were just cruising along at a steady, 55 mile per hour pace, we're still doing the podcast. We're 100 episodes in. Yeah. You're not thinking about doing your job. You're not, you're not doing what you're fixing to be doing. Yeah. I'm not none of us would be where we are. Yeah. And it doesn't mean that it necessarily started with that, but it's part of that change.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I think about change is good for light bulbs and dirty diapers, and sometimes it's just good for us.
Light bulbs and dirty
Totally.
diapers.
Well, I got to say too, man, I've had nothing but respect and pride in watching you handle the change that you went through.
Absolutely.
Like, it's not that you needed to be humbled at all, but seeing how humble you were about the whole thing. I don't know, you were really the kind of the epitome of what I would say a Christian would do in that situation. So
Thank you.
You would definitely.
Absolutely.
I already had so much respect for you, but it just solidified that even more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I thank you.
And just seeing the way you've handled it with your family, and just and I know your whole family's hurt, and they were all hurt through the situation, but watching you lead them
Mm-hmm.
by your actions, and not just spiraling or going into some sort of deep I don't know, hole or whatever. You just kept going forward and showed that to them, and that was cool to watch.
Well,
absolutely.
I hope one day, I was telling somebody, I said, I hope one day my kids will be able to look back and say a couple things that, God sustained us through through this time, and he never left, never wavered. And then two, I hope they look and say, I remember when my dad worked, all these different things and did all these things just so that we could continue the way of life that we have.
Yeah.
And so I hope those two things come,
Right.
It may not come for a while, but I hope one day that they'll look back and go, yeah, I remember that.
Absolutely.
So-
Absolutely. They will. They absolutely will.
Absolutely.
True leadership.
It's crazy. Really, if we look back from when this podcast was an idea, when it started to where it is now, life has changed for all four of us
Mhm.
So much.
in pretty major ways, man. Like, and I don't think any of it was like a detrimental move. Like, everything has progressed in a healthy way, I think, in the end. And dude, it's been refreshing to see and to go through life with you guys on really a daily basis,
Right.
Mhm.
and to see that growth from being there when Ronin Style was literally just an idea.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
When you're like, man, I'm thinking about this,
Right.
and to
Yeah.
see what it's become has
It is.
been amazing.
It's been a wild ride.
From being in the gym early in the morning lifting some weights, and Joe walks up and says, "Hey, so I've got this idea.
Uh-huh.
What do you know about podcasting?"
Mhm.
And at that time, we weren't even sure that you would respond, Dustin, because I
Yeah.
didn't know.
Yeah. And,
You were
and
so
that,
quiet.
that had been a
That's so
conversation
true.
between the two of you. And I think you knew that I knew some stuff about technology.
Uh-huh.
And that was more or less it. I think you knew a little bit about me, but not a whole lot. And yeah, to be brought into that circle, and really the circle that's been formed,
Mhm.
has been great to just see.
Yeah.
Like, and I would say this, like, life is going to look different. Right? Joe being 4 hours away,
Yeah.
like, who knows what the next year holds for the four of us.
Sure.
Right? At no point do I think that this is ever a goodbye.
Mhm.
No way.
At max, it's a see you later.
Yeah.
Like, I think that the relationship and connection that we've built really between the four of us is going to be one that's sustained.
Mhm.
And I'm excited to see what God has in store really in the next 2 years.
Yep.
There's group texting and memes. That's pretty much what we
Exactly.
what we reduce ourselves to.
Exactly.
I fully believe that it is capable for us to communicate using purely memes and understand each other's.
This is true.
Yeah, man. One of the saddest. Here's this. I can't wait to come back one day, and do a podcast the night before Dustin's wedding. So we're gonna have a reunion that day.
Yeah.
Whenever that happens,
Yeah.
whether it's 2 years from now or 10 years from now, whatever.
15.
15 years
He's
shooting for.
pushing it back.
Wow.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna have a bachelor party for Dustin.
Right.
I'm really sad that I'm leaving and not gonna be able to watch Tyson be a daddy.
Oh, man.
Because that's another big life change that's happened within the
That's
year.
coming quick, too.
It's coming quick.
Yeah, it's coming quick for both of us.
I know it.
And then I wanted to make sure everybody knew, if you're out there and you know of any pastoral positions, and
That's right.
We have one of the most amazing pastors and leaders you could ever think of here in this podcast, and he would be an amazing addition to your team.
Yep. Have Bible, will travel.
There you go. There you go.
Bible will travel.
That's pretty much what it is right now. Have Bible, will travel. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I'm curious, Adam. So we've all had pretty, I guess, office jobs, sedentary jobs, and we've been, we're stuck indoors all day. And you've gone from that to you're kind of working a blue collar type job now.
I am,
and you're working
a couple of them.
Yeah, I know. You're doing everything you can to provide for your family, and I'm curious how that transition has been.
It's just been hot.
Just hot.
Yep.
And
The
especially
Texas heat.
especially the last 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Prior to this one hadn't been too bad, but
Yeah.
when it
Amen.
was 108 and 109
Mhm.
and the feel like temperature was 115, 16,
Humidity.
it was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fine. You work up a tolerance to it, just like you do
Yeah.
for lifting, just
Yeah.
like you do in the gym,
Mhm.
and you just kind of keep your muscles going, and
Yeah.
a lot of functional training.
Yeah, to say the least.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
the first couple of days I was a little sore,
Mhm.
and I'd been working out and doing things in the gym, but it's different.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you'll figure that, and you know that,
Yeah.
and it's coming for you too.
I know.
A lot of bent over rowing.
Oh, gosh.
Because you're stooping and bending
Uh-huh.
and
Kneeling.
and all
Yeah.
that stuff that you
Yeah.
just don't do in the gym.
Yeah.
Life's hard for you tall guys.
It is.
It's
Well,
constant. Life is a bend over row.
Even to brush your teeth. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
the
every-
sink's so far down there. You're
That's
like,
true.
oh
when
my
I'm doing
gosh.
dishes, I'm at my low back hurts because I'm having to
Bend
over the whole time.
It's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
It's true, man.
Yeah.
Years from now, Joe's going to be remembering this when he builds his house, and he's going to install like a button to raise the sink.
Yeah.
Yes.
Little
Yeah.
hydraulic
I
sink.
like it.
I need tall sinks, tall cabinets.
Shower heads.
Oh my gosh!
I
Don't
know.
get me started,
Dude, yes. Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
This is so beneficial to our listeners.
Isn't it?
Whoever invented the pre-built modulated showers, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Not the ones that are like hand
Mm-hmm.
tiled and everything like that. Those never fit anybody above
No.
6 foot tall.
Correct.
And it pisses me off.
What
I'm tired
grinds?
of getting on my knees to wash my hair. And then let's talk about a bathtub. I haven't taken a bath in 30 years
Smells
because
like it.
we could tell.
cause I don't fit in an average sized bath. Like it's just like I'm sitting in a little puddle, you know?
I mean, hey, me neither. That has nothing to do with my height, though.
You're just afraid of water, aren't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Gosh,
Anyways,
I don't understand how somebody can think a shower that's going to hit you, in the navel, is going to be a good idea. But anyway, not
Yeah.
everybody's as tall as we
Got
are.
all this shampoo and nothing to wash it off with.
Yeah.
Yeah, run around, try to get wet.
And yet, Joe traded his truck in for this little remote
This is
control
true.
car.
This is true.
well, that's because I drive
Good
60 miles to
call.
work in the morning and then 60 miles home.
Yep.
Dude, I've saved so much money by that, except for
know.
my transmission going out.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good move all in all, but it's funny
Yeah.
watching you pull up
I
at it and
know.
like crawl out of it.
I'm not proud. I look like Mr. Incredible getting out of his car.
I know. And that's honestly, whenever I was buying my truck, that was probably the move, was to buy a car. But my ego just wouldn't let me do it.
Yeah.
And I'll admit that.
Yeah,
My
no, I
man
get it.
child in me was just like, I can't do it.
Man,
I made a
imagine
sacrifice.
Tyson in a minivan.
In a minivan. Like, oh, yeah.
They have sport minivans.
Yeah, you can soup it up.
The only reason I know that is because we owned one.
Did you? I hear they're like the Dodge Caravans are great vehicles. I don't know.
That's what everybody says. Everybody
That's
says
what
once you go van, you don't go back.
That's what I've always heard,
Yeah.
too. I'm scared.
No, we went back.
Y'all went back.
Yeah.
Adam says, no.
No.
We backtracked on that.
So
Yeah.
Adam, how did you handle kind of rediscovering your own fitness journey after all this life change?
Oh man, embrace the obesity. That's pretty
Embrace
much
obesity.
what I've done. It's not been too bad. I've gained some weight, but just finding that new cruising altitude has been difficult.
Yeah,
With
yeah.
a few different schedules to
Mhm.
manage, and just long hot days. When you get finished after you've been outside all day, it
Yeah.
really is different than getting
Mhm.
finished
Uh-huh.
from being in an indoor job.
Yeah.
And you're kind of spent. You're like, do I really, one, do I have time, and one, do I have the want to and the drive?
Right.
Am I hydrated enough?
And you seem to me like, just from my time having known you, a very like schedule, like routine oriented person.
I have closet OCD when it comes to certain things.
Really?
And I say that because, like, if you put a presentation up on the board and something's out of alignment, I'm like, oh, please fix it. Please fix it. But, if you were to look at my desk, whenever I had a desk, there's nothing in its place all the time.
Organized chaos.
Yeah. And so it's weird because sometimes it manifests itself in weird places like that. And other times I'm like, I could care less if that is in its place. Right. But I think as far as schedule goes, I like the routine because you guys watch me work out for a couple years straight, just coming in every day at like 8 o'clock or 7:45.
Right. Pretty much on the dot.
Yeah. And every, from Monday through Thursday, that was my deal. And it really changed my body, changed my life, just to probably what kept me alive because of the stress I was under.
Seriously.
Literally.
Yeah.
So there's something to that. And how did I rediscover that? It's been tough. Yeah. But I have figured out I can get up a little earlier and come work out and then, hit the job and get it done early because I'm not going to get it done late.
Yeah.
So.
Is that kind of your plan?
I am going to be tested like I've never been tested before.
Yeah.
I'm no longer going to be Joe Copeland, the wellness director of Swan Family Wellness Center, Joe Copeland, the strength coach or whatever.
Right. In a gym all the time.
In a gym all the time, expected to live a certain lifestyle. And so it's going to be a huge test for me.
Sure.
Yeah. And on top of that, my work schedule is I start work at 5 and then I get home whenever I finish the day. And I'll be exhausted from being out in the heat and the sun and working. And so my workouts are going to have to be in the evening. And y'all know how much I love my morning workouts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we also have another kid coming. So that's going to hurt my evening workouts because once I get home, my wife's going to need a break from being with the baby all day.
Sure.
And so, man, it's going to suck. It's going to be hard. It's going to be very hard. What I plan on doing is coming up with a plan where I can just be very consistent with a 20 to 30 minute lift. Like my plan is to pick like 1 or 2 compound movements each day and just do that and forget about any accessories. Like if I'm hitting my squats and my bench press and my overhead press, my deadlifts, that will help me keep my muscle mass that I've built. If my nutrition is in check, I shouldn't be too worried about it.
Well, that's exactly what I've always done whenever you get crunched on time. Right. Just hit the big 3 or the big 4, and literally you'll be okay.
Yeah. It's just the season of life that I'm in. I'm not worried on sculpting in certain areas, like hitting my posterior deltoids or my rhomboids. Like I'm just gonna stay strong, keep the muscle I've built. And my job is basically, once I leave the house, I'm at the job site and I don't leave. And so I'll be pressed to be doing some meal prepping, make sure because basically my brother-in-law is the one that I'm going to be working with, and he basically said he'll wake up in the morning, go to a gas station, get 3 or 4 breakfast burritos, and they just keep them on their dash, and it stays warm, and that's what you eat whenever you get hungry.
I've watched that in the last few months. I'm like, that's your lunch? Yeah, it's just sitting there in the sun. Okay.
It's a heat lamp.
Pretty much.
That's what a gut bomb is, what that is.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So definitely going to be doing some meal prep.
And I think consistency, the word you use there, is probably going to be the key part for you, is just to stay consistent with everything you do.
Yeah.
I by no means have to work like Adam's working right now. No. But my work schedule this summer has been a little different than what it has been all year.
You've been pushing it a little bit.
And I told Tyson, I was climbing ladders, pulling cable, working in ceilings all day yesterday. And even if it was like moderately cool on the ground, it's another level of heat once you get past those ceiling tiles. And I've found that, like, just over the last probably week is where I felt it the most of going and installing all this new technology and stuff. And then getting off work and being like, Gotta go to the gym.
Yeah.
And even yesterday, like, I will throw myself under the bus yesterday. I got, like, partway through my workout. I looked at the clock and was like, oh, man. I had some optional stuff that was labeled in my workout, and I was like, I'm just going to skip this.
Yeah, optional.
Optional.
Indeed.
Option, no. And I got right to that line. I was literally about to be like, okay, I'm going to finish this. Everything else is optional. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to get out of here. And I was like, wait, absolutely not. And I pushed through and did all the optional stuff before I left.
Good, man.
But when you talk about, like, being taxed, you know, from the heat or whatever, just that lack of energy after having gone through the work day, yeah, that's real. And it hits hard.
All of our listeners are playing tiny violins and going, welcome to my life every day.
Welcome to everything I've had to deal with.
That's right. So we understand on a whole new level. Yeah. And so we have empathy for you.
Yeah. Well, so and that leads to more content too, because I mean you'll still be running the podcast like normal.
Yes,
and
podcast will move on.
So I mean you'll be talking about how you're working through these hard times and what growth you get out of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think I'll be able to reach a whole new niche. Like I'm going to pipeline work. For those of you who don't know, I mean I could become known as the pipeline fitness trainer, and I could, teach people how to live their healthiest possible self in that line of work,
setting.
Yeah.
What you're going to really be doing is teaching them how to set up a sauna in the porta pot.
I think that's pre-made. I know that's one of the biggest things I'm not looking forward to.
But you're still getting your sauna treatment.
I'm very regular during my day.
Yeah. And spoiled to have a nice, cool toilet every single day.
I know.
Yeah, we made the comment earlier. Man, this bathroom's going to miss Joe.
It is.
I really need a gold plaque above that bathroom.
We'll work on that.
I made a joke that I would love to, like, figure out how many hours. So, I've been at this job for, like, 9 years. How many of those hours was I on the pot being paid? Oh, my
gosh. Let's not publicize that number.
It's a 7-week sabbatical for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
True.
Think about that for a second.
Adam, on this life change, this journey that you've been on over these last few months, has there been like a theme or a verse or anything that you've just been kind of constantly replaying in your head?
I think as I think about that just briefly, the thing that I think about most is trust.
Trust, yeah.
I have to trust, because we were talking about all this change, and all of this change is on our side. Yeah. It's all on our end.
Right.
The scripture teaches us that the Lord never changes.
Yeah.
From before there was ever time recorded, right. He was the same.
Right.
And that's hard to think about. It's hard to grasp, because you go all the way back to when time first began. He was the same before that.
Right.
And then before that.
Right.
And then after that, he'll still be the same. And so all this change is on our end.
Yeah. And
so if he has not changed, then what has changed is my trust in him.
Yeah.
And it's trying to move to a deeper appreciation of that, and what that plan is and what his will for my life is.
Yeah.
And it's definitely unorthodox on my side. It's not how I would have planned it.
Right. Of course.
But most of the time, the greatest things that we end up with in our life on this side of eternity, we wouldn't have planned them that way anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I just have to wait, see, and trust.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. And like, there's something to be said about having that trust in amidst that period of the unknown, of like direction and like where things are going to go. And I mean, you guys kind of walked me through a little bit of that. Although mine had a little more direction and a little more figured out with it. But when I kind of made that transition point from working in the church full time to doing that really only part time, very little, still being involved, but then working in the school system, like that was a change.
Definitely.
And to have that trust amidst the unknown is really where it comes into play. But I can honestly say I didn't know what to expect when I made that move that I did. But looking back, man, it's been such a blessing and a journey, and there's been relationships, friendships that I've been able to build through that, connections that I've been able to make, and it is nothing I ever would have dreamed. Ever would have thought that if you had asked me 5 years ago if I'd be doing this, I would have told you absolutely not.
Yeah, for sure.
But I now know, like, it's where I need to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm using my skills in a way that I never thought I would.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
Tyson, what about you? Have you had a theme for this season of your life?
I mean, change is always kind of there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. But one of my biggest changes has really been transitioning from being just an athlete to also now really embracing the coaching role and the teacher role, being in the gym. I coached Calvin to his first win in MMA.
Yeah.
I've coached, Sky Ritchie through his first win in MMA. Mm-hmm. It's been pretty cool, like pulling other guys up into that level and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's also been hard because you're taking that hat off a bit, and you can't be selfish as a coach, but you can't be selfless as a fighter. You have to be selfish.
You have to be selfish, yeah.
So it's kind of that thing that I've been battling with, but I think I've handled it well. Yeah. And I think I'm going to be able to balance that still. I think I'm going to be able to still be a fighter, put that hat back on, and then transition to being a coach. And what's cool is with Calvin still being in the gym is I can pass that coach role to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
for sure.
There's definitely been that change for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, changing positions from just being a therapist to embracing more of the wellness side, more of the fitness side.
Yeah, you're gonna go get your certified personal trainer certification.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And not to be egotistical or anything, but I think I could take the test and pass just
you'll
fine.
get it easy.
Yeah.
You've been engulfed in this world for so long.
So I don't know. Just looking forward to what's coming up. In the future.
Yeah.
Tyson, you're not so far off from being a pastor. You know that.
I'm aware. It's tough.
And the reason I say that is because if you're figuring out how to juggle all those different hats, take one off. Like, I got to be boss today. Now I got to be fighter. Now I got to be pastor. Now I got to be mentor. Now I got to be all of these different things. It's ministry, man.
That's what's tough about the whole fighting world is you don't realize when you become a coach you become so much more to some of these people. Father figures, mentors, and they want, and of course now you own a business, so people are coming up to you for business advice. It's just like I didn't realize how much influence I would have over others.
Yeah, and just having observed you like kind of go through that process of figuring that out, like I feel I can confidently say you excel exceptionally well at having the discipline to switch those hats in a moment based on what's needed from you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's been a learning experience, and I don't always do it perfectly. I have given some bad advice before, and I'll own it. That probably wasn't a good move. Sorry.
We are fallible people.
Yeah.
And so we mess it up sometimes.
Yeah.
But God's good, and we, He is gracious and able and willing to forgive.
Yeah.
And so we've got to remember that too. So even good change can be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of where we all are.
Yeah.
Everything that's happening is good. It's just it's uncomfortable.
Have you, like, one of the biggest things I'm kind of worried about or stewing about is, like, my job right now is very rewarding in that I'm changing people's lives, or I'm helping them go through life changes. I'm helping them go through struggles. I'm helping them improve their health, and there's a lot of give back. Like, and I get purpose from that. And this excuse me,
typhoid.
Yeah. And this new job, I mean, there's going to be nothing given back from besides money from my efforts. And so and of course I'm keeping my fitness stuff alive, and I'm going to do my best to be there, but I'm a little bit afraid I'm not going to feel that purpose anymore.
Fulfillment.
Yeah.
So here's what I found, because in the church world, in the pastor world, you kind of get some of that as well. You get some hard days, but many rewarding days.
Of course.
You have to look for it in personal relationships with your coworkers.
Yeah.
And I know you have that here. With you got one of them sitting right here, but I know you well enough to think that you're going to be able to find little nuggets of the day to go, man, I had a really good conversation with so-and-so.
Yeah.
I had a really neat conversation with so-and-so. What I found is, guys just want to come and they just want to be heard too.
Yeah.
And whenever I sit and I listen, I know stuff about some of my coworkers that I never thought I would know.
Really?
And not bad things, but things that they've shared with me about their personal life and things that they've shared with me, and maybe just because they know I'm a pastor and they want to know what I'm going to say.
Right.
Yeah.
They're just pushing the button to go, can we get him to say something, off track?
Yeah.
Some of that happens.
I get it.
But it's kind of like the other day we were sitting there and somebody said something and it was a little off kilter or, just a little crass.
Surely it wasn't Chuck.
And
he
then,
never does that.
Well, and then everybody kind of looked around at me and I was just kind of sitting there and they go, man, this pastor effect is not working out for our office.
To our enjoyment.
Yeah. And I said, guys, y'all don't have to, apologize to me.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of fun to walk through that, and I feel like you'll find that.
Yeah.
You just got to look for it in different places.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to find the positive in just the little areas. Like you said, when somebody comes to you and just blurts something out, right? Like, hey, what's your opinion on fill in the blank? The fact that they feel comfortable enough to approach you and with that question speaks volumes. But finding the little things that are the positives of the day, being grateful for those things, and then letting gratitude be the meditation of your heart.
Yeah.
Like that's where the fulfillment comes in.
That's good.
My advice is a little bit different.
Okay.
And I guess you expect that from me, but
Of course.
I think there's chapters in your life where it's time to be selfish. And I think there's times in your life where it's time to make hay, and you're at that spot where you got a new baby coming.
Yeah.
I think it's time for you to get close to your family, and this is a good time to be able to make enough money to set them up for a future that you didn't even have as you grew up.
Right.
And I think you're entering into a whole new spot, and I think you should embrace that.
Yeah, I get that too. Yeah. Cool.
There's time for that, for sure, and a space for that.
Yeah. And I'm not saying turn everybody off or anything, but I'm saying just go grind, man.
Yeah.
And go to work to not make friends. You're there to do a job and get it done and make some money. And you'll make friends anyway. You're a friendly guy. But, but man, I'm telling you.
Big old teddy bear.
I know.
Stay off the Vienna sausages. You'll make more friends.
Oh, gosh. I ain't touching those.
I don't know why that's like that in that industry. That's like the go-to meal, because one of the things I've been doing is running trash for a company and
just
emptying trash trailers with thousands of Vienna sausage cans. And I'm like, and beer cans. And I'm like, that cannot be a great meal. I just don't understand.
It's not well rounded.
Oh, look at our population. It shows what we eat.
Yeah, I know. But
I'm too good for Vienna sausages.
Really?
Yeah. We were grilling hot dogs for July 4th last week, and we went to go get them, and I got like some big old bratwurst, and I was like, why didn't you just do a regular hot dog? I was like, I'm too good for hot dogs. I deserve a real sausage if I'm going to have hot dogs.
Gosh. Fine, Joe.
Spoiled brat.
I know.
Silver spoon.
Spoiled brat.
Yeah, okay.
Wow. Oh, my God.
You really went there.
He did.
Wow.
That's desperate.
Oh, what has this become?
I don't know. Well, any advice to anybody else, guys, on this change of life and this new journey moving forward?
Maybe not advice, more an apology for listeners, I guess. I know this podcast was really for us and not really for anybody else. I just want you guys to know that how much I've grown from this and how much I love you guys. Like it's been phenomenal growing with you guys and seeing what it's become.
Yeah, absolutely. Every single one of you has helped me through periods you didn't know you did, and you've been there for me through this. Y'all will forever hold a extremely strong, special place in my heart. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
it's on your shirt.
That's right.
That's one.
Yeah. Man, embrace it. I think you use those words, Tyson, but I guess just as a final kind of word to that, just embrace the change, embrace what life is throwing at you. Walk through it with head held high, and focus on what needs to be focused on. Sometimes that is your family, and that's okay. And as you do those things, as you embrace whatever life is tossing at you, those relationships come, and find yourself that circle, because it helps you more than you know.
For sure.
All right.
Anything else?
No, I'm good. I've enjoyed this. I've missed doing this.
Man, we've missed you so much.
It's been fun, and so I'm grateful that you guys wanted to do this so early, so that I could jump in and you guys can get on with your day.
Yeah.
I'm going to run trash, so
fun stuff.
It's going to be a smelly day for me.
I'm about to train 2 last clients this morning. This is my last day of work, and then headed to go get my U-Haul and moving. And man, it's going to be a long day today.
It's going to be a good day.
It'll be fun. I'll remember it.
You got to stay safe out there.
A little bit, just a heads up to all of our listeners, kind of future, what you can expect from the future for the podcast. While this is our last recording with these OGs, I will be recording virtually with them. There's some really good technology out there available that we're going to make that happen. And then who knows who God will place in my life in Midland, Texas, and I'm just praying that the Lord places the right people in my circle, and that would be a good addition to the podcast. Somebody else that we can talk about fitness and faith and all everything that we talk about, and I know that will happen. And who knows what the Lord has in store. But either way, you can expect an episode every single Tuesday, and I'm not going to get off that schedule. Even if I have to record it at 3 a.m. in the morning, it's going to get done.
All right.
And this is not the end.
No way.
This is the beginning of a new adventure. This is embracing the change. And this is really in the same way that the 4 of us have moved through life and progressed through life. We found progressive overload in the day-to-day.
Absolutely.
The podcast itself is kind of going through that on its own.
There you go.
Yeah. Bear with us, though.
All right. Well, you guys enjoy your day and have a wonderful trip, you guys. It's not going to be U-Haul. It's going to be They Haul.
They Haul.
U-Haul, They Haul.
I'm just going to have a clipboard and a megaphone and just tell everybody where to go, to put it.
Take that to the living room.
There you go.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate your support. As always, don't forget to check us out on all of the social media platforms.
You didn't forget it.
These 2 guys, what?
I'm just saying, you got the closing remarks memorized.
He remembers.
Sharp as a dull spoon. I don't know. Don't forget about these 2 guys and their, let's see, your gym.
Ronin Style, Striking and
Grappling. Check that out online and in person. They'd love to see you over there. And pray for Joe as he's out doing pipeline work.
Yeah.
Stay safe out there, brother. And
thank you, guys.
Don't get too hot. Stay hydrated.
Yeah, right.
All right. Anything else?
No. Love y'all so much.
Much love.
Okay.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Progressive Overload podcast. We're honored to be a small part of your day. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or are interested in sponsoring our efforts, please feel free to reach out via email. Find us at progressiveoverloadpod@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe and follow our podcast so you'll be notified when our next episode drops.
And as always, you can help us reach the masses by sharing our podcast with your friends and family. And then check us out on Facebook and Instagram to follow our own personal journeys and get an inside look on our day-to-day lives. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.